Do you ever struggle with building your brand online? Do you ever struggle with digital marketing stuff? Are you ever try to do these things where you follow 1,000, 10,000 people and you still don't get one follower at the end of the day? So today I'm here with, I'm honored to say, but Dylan Vanas. He's a 2 times 8-figure founder and business speaker that works with some of the world's largest personalities, man, and brands. He has shared the stage with business icons such as Gary Vee, such as Patrick Bet David admired, and many other great names. About 250,000, something like that, followers on social media. And I'm just honored and excited about this interview. Um, this is Dylan Vanas.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Pleasure is mine, my friend. So, without further ado on these complications, I'm really, really curious, man.
Just for like the people listening and watching this, you don't
Yeah,
realize the trouble that we went through to get on this call. We were supposed to be on here 40 minutes ago, and this is what happens in the modern age with technology. It's just so funny to think about. Like I took 20 minutes and then we had some complications, but point of the story is we're here to deliver value and hopefully help people get from where they are to where they really want to be. So sorry to cut you off, but I wanted to just add that in.
no, Dylan was like, I'm making $1 million deal, just coming up later.
$1 billion deal, actually.
Oh, um, so we wanted to start with breaking the ice with the audience a little bit, in the case someone doesn't know you. So we wanted to ask you, what is your story? How did you start up to be on your journey, on what do you want to share, and how did you come up to be here, founding 2 companies, major ones?
Yeah, dude. So it's crazy how things can happen so rapidly when we number one focus and when we number two persist through the ups and downs. So I'm 28. I run two relatively successful companies. And yeah, I mean, like I built both these companies to do over 8 figures in less than just a few years. And so my story, I'm from Canada, right? I grew up in a middle class family. And one of the things I kind of say is I look back, it's like, I'm not sure what's harder, having a family or like an upbringing with in a family that can't support you, meaning they don't have the financial means to help support you or invest in you, or having a family that can but chooses not to. See, my parents told me they wanted me to go to college. My dad was a dentist. His dad was a dentist. Naturally, I was supposed to be a dentist. Well, guess what? I'm not. I'm very far from being a dentist. And so, in fact, probably the opposite thing. I'm a 2-time college dropout. I didn't piss my dad off enough the first time, so I went back a second time so I could piss him off by dropping out twice. but
Okay.
but the thing is I did the opposite of what they told me to do. And when I stopped going to school and started pursuing business ventures, they, they're always there for you. Like they're my parents, but they weren't about to go take out some of their savings and invest in me to start a business. So everything I've created has been self-made. And I went from this entrepreneur trying every side hustle, Amazon FBA, dropship, some point or another. And it wasn't until I stumbled upon running a marketing agency that I saw true success, right? At least in the eyes of other people. I always knew where I was going, but it wasn't until I did the
Yes.
marketing agency and stuck with it for a period of time. Like I didn't just try it for 3 months and be like, oh, it's too hard. Like it was the one thing I'm like, I'm gonna see this through no matter what, the ups and downs, the failures, because that stuff comes. And I didn't just like stop and say, oh, it's too hard, like, or I can't find clients. Like I persisted through it. And then, the outcome is relative success, I guess.
I totally get when you said everyone was a dentist and they expected me to be a dentist. Like everyone in my family is an engineer. You can
And you're not obviously an engineer. So
almost went for that, to be honest.
yeah, the interesting thing about that is that in society we have, I guess, standards. and everyone kind of assumes a certain standard in life. And so for some people, that's doing what their parents recommend, it's getting a good job, whatever that is. For me, it was, I kind of identified that I want to like be happy and I want freedom. I don't want to do something just because my parents told me to do it. I want to do it. I want to do something because that's what I want to do. And so when I started to realize, like, okay, like I definitely don't want to be a dentist. I don't want to open up people's mouths all day long and like dig around in there. I want to like do stuff fun. I want to build businesses. I want to work with cool people. I want to travel and have freedom. That's when like the whole world opened up. It was like, there's a story called Plato's Analogy of the Cave. I'm not sure if you've heard of it before,
Yeah.
but these prisoners are sitting facing a wall, and behind them there's a bridge, and the people walk over the bridge and day in and day out, and then behind them is a fire, and what's happening is the fire is projecting the shadow of these people walking on the wall they're facing, and they're cuffed, right? They can't move. They're facing this wall, and what they believe reality is these shadows that are moving on the wall. Well, what happens is one day, one of the prisoners that's shackled, he actually breaks free, walks out of the cave and into the real world. At first he's like, is this reality? Like, I thought that the shadows was reality, but no, that's not the case. This is reality. Well, he goes back and he's yelling into the cave, look, everyone, look, like there's so much more. And the prisoners are like, no, there's no way. This is reality. And so the moral of that story is that there's so much more going on in life, but oftentimes people become fixated on, what they believe is reality. Well, when I first heard that story, it inspired me. I'm like, there's got to be more out there. And so I wanted to become that guy who escapes the cave and sees what's truly there.
It's funny because the exact question I was gonna ask, it was like, why did you want to do this? It's like, because we always want to find our, like, the reasons behind why successful people do that. And I'm judging you to be a kind of successful man, right? But why marketing? Like you mentioned, marketing has bigger gains, but is there anything about marketing that really you think you really like about that?
So here's the biggest thing about it, because so both my companies, obviously when you're in business and entrepreneurship, there's like other projects you work on, investing in real estate, like crypto, all this stuff. But my core foundation is marketing. I'm not the guy who's jumping on NFTs are popular, I'm doing this, or Amazon's popular. Like I don't jump from thing to thing to thing like a lot of these entrepreneurs do. I know marketing. It's what I'm good at. When people come to me that knew me 4 years ago, Dylan, are you still doing that marketing thing? And I say yes. They say, awesome, I have a client for you. What we're doing in life is we're going around life and we're planting these seeds of what we're doing. And the seeds can become a tree that bears fruit, right? The fruit is success or money or whatever you want, happiness, whatever you want it to be. But one of the things people do is they jump and they're like, oh, let me plant seeds over here, right? I own a marketing agency. Hey, everyone, I own a marketing agency. But then something doesn't work. They don't see the tree grow fast enough. And they go over here. Oh, I'm a coach now. I'm a life coach. Plant the seeds. Well, what happens, let's say a year later, someone's like, hey, you doing that marketing thing? You're like, no, I'm a life coach. They're like, okay, well, I don't need life coaching. I need marketing. And then a year later after the coaching thing, you planted those seeds, but now you're off doing something else and someone comes to you for life coaching and you don't offer that anymore. So what it is like, it's about sticking with something and planting those seeds and allowing time for them to grow. That's just the way life works. And then why marketing? Well, people always need awareness and attention. What happened during COVID was one of the most radical things in the entire world, where people realize that being online is no longer a luxury, but it's a necessity. And if you're not online, you're basically doomed to fail, right? We saw brick and mortar companies, local stores, shops, Chinese food restaurants, like they got destroyed. Then there's like companies that are like, they're like Walmart, for example. They have physical locations as well as they have their online store. Well, what did they do? They pumped money into the online brand and they reduced the budget from brick and mortar. And then online brands, Zoom. I mean, we're doing a Zoom call right now. Like half the world didn't even know about Zoom 2 years ago. Now everyone uses it on a day-to-day basis. And so I want to make sure that I'm creating a place, an ecosystem and services to make sure that no business owner ever has to go through what they went through during COVID again. The next time that if there ever something like that happens again, or just in life, I'm providing services that help them get more attention, make more money, and I get paid for it. Like it's pretty awesome.
I've never seen it that way though. That was a new way of looking at it. I have to digest that a bit. Well,
Yeah, no, the reality is though, like people go into nursing or medicine or they become a doctor because they want to help people. I'm a doctor of attention. I'm helping business owners get more awareness on their brand so they don't have to go out of business. They don't have to, cut prices. Like we're getting more eyeballs. We're helping people make more money and get more deals by marketing their business. It's the same thing.
yeah, and it's needed, right? Because I've seen business owners with 5,000 posts and 10 followers, which is crazy.
Right.
And yeah, now we're gonna come up with one of the traditional questions of the Kaizen with Eris podcast. We ask our guests 5 things or 5 principles, or either 5 things that you would say to yourself in the past, previous version of you, or 5 principles that you think are the key points that have made you successful. You can go at it one by one. Usually people have more or less than 5, but we tend to do it 5 because it works more. We remember it better, right?
Yeah. So what you're asking for is a series of life principles that I have.
Yeah. How do you live your life, especially in business, something like that?
So I've got 4 core values, and
Okay.
these are what I live my life by. The first 2 are growth and freedom. I was going to say number 1, but the thing is, they kind of alternate, but they're always my first 2, growth and freedom, because sometimes I'm in a point where I have a lot of freedom in my life, time freedom, money freedom, relationship freedom, and I'm like, okay, what's next? Like, let me grow a little bit more. Let me go read some more books. Let me start taking cold showers. So they kind of cycle, but sometimes I'm in a period of growth, heavy growth, and I'm like, I want to be more free. So, but those are my top 2. So freedom, why? Well, freedom because I want to be able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, wherever I want, with whoever I want, right? And some people say that before, but that's for me, like that's what I want to do. I don't want any restrictions in life in any way whatsoever. Number 2, so that's freedom. Number 2, growth. I believe that there's no such thing as stagnation or like staying the same. We're either growing or decaying. It's the law of entropy. That not touched decays and fades and becomes worse. So in order to actually get better in life, we need to put attention and focus on constantly growing and improving ourselves. That's where the joy of life comes from. Think about the happiest people have been, if someone's watching this, or even you yourself, dude. Like the happiest I've been was when I was in the best shape of my life, because I was growing, hitting the gym every day, grinding, or in business success. Like it's not when we're sitting at home scrolling TikTok late at night. Like we don't feel good. We feel good when we're challenging ourselves and getting better. So that's number 2. The third one of the 4 is integrity. I believe that that what we say means nothing. Anyone can say anything. You can tell me you're a millionaire. I don't care. If someone on my team, I've got quite a few employees. If someone on my team comes and tells me, hey, I'm going to do this, I don't care. Just do it and shut the fuck up and show me the results. Like, don't go tell me you're going to do something. Just do it and show it. Because as I have done more in my life, I've identified that a lot of people will just go around saying stuff and they never do it. So I don't care. When you say something, you do it. And then number 4, I kind of had a challenge ever coming up with a word for it, but the best way to describe it is over delivery or overvalue. The idea there is anytime you're doing something with anyone, go the extra mile and over deliver, do more than what they tell you they will. I threw an event in my office last week, and it was a free event that anyone could come to town and be a part of. I had people fly from all over the country, people from, from 4 hours away, 5 hours away, 2 hours away. People drove in. It was amazing to see people come from all over the country to come spend, a day with me. Now, what I did at the end of the event that no one knew about is I took a group of people there to dinner. They didn't even know what was happening. I took them. We had a VIP limo pick us up from my office and drove us to a 5-star dinner that I covered and paid for everything. What did I do? I surprised these people with a VIP experience and over delivered. And so that's the fourth thing. I believe that in every single area we can of our life, go the extra mile and over deliver.
I love that, especially the fourth one, because I studied business administration and they tell us a great technique in business is to make the customer less powerful. I disagree with that in so many ways. I think getting the customer to be letting him get as much choices as possible is the way, like over delivering is, I'm thinking you said. And I really admire businesses that do that. And secondly, I would admire the listener that were to listen to this stuff, to write these things down, because you forget them. You're human. You're not God. Like, just write these things down, because it's how life is. Someday you might find these to be quite valuable, as I have found them to be. Now, how about a branding question? Like, you seem like a really nice guy, man. Is there anything you hate? What is what is the number one thing, marketing thing, that you dislike the most, or you would like to see less in the world?
Yeah, you're asking like, what's the thing that like grinds my gears? What's like the one thing that I hate when people do when it comes to marketing?
Yeah.
Where do I start? There's so many. The thing is most people have the entire way of getting attention and brand awareness wrong, right? They do everything backwards and they think that it's going to help get them results. I think if I were to narrow down like the number one thing that I hate seeing people do is it would be I guess the word to describe it, that the word that's coming to my mind would be being ingenuine. So I think a lot of people out there, they do these things because they heard it works or they're repeating what someone else did, but not a lot of people are speaking what's true to them. And I think that as a brand, as a personality, so right, whether you're a company out there trying to scale your business or you're an individual trying to grow your own personal brand, the thing that makes us unique as humans is what's true to ourselves. But then why do people go out there and they try to do what other people want them to do? What happens then is we're disconnecting from our true self. In theory, if we do that, we're creating like this other version of ourselves that's not true. And now there's like who we really are and who we're pretending to be. And we have to go through life every single day remembering, let me pretend to be this person, let me pretend to be this person, but our true self is over here. What's going to happen is we end up, in some cases, losing ourselves in the process. What I want to see is I want brands, personalities to merge those two things together and really speak and live their true essence of who they are in the world and what's out there. Now, there is one caveat to that, which is that it's really hard to get known if you're just doing all this stuff like, oh, I want to be this person or this person. So there is an element of it, which is like, some people say like, fake it till you make it, which, by the way, I don't like that either.
Yeah.
I think there is an element, though. You need to be the person that you're moving towards you want to become. So what I mean by that is you have to first act and experience and live as if you're that person. So if you want to be successful, go to the place where successful people are. Like every single city has a hotel, a high-end hotel. If you dress in clean clothes, you don't like a hobo, you can go sit in the lobby for a nice hotel and just feel that. Like, look at the wealthy people come and go. Look at how they're walking, how they're acting, and feel as if you belong in that place, because you can belong in that place. But if every single time you walk by a nice hotel or a nice restaurant, or you see someone drive a nice car and you think thoughts of insecurity, like I don't deserve that, or thoughts of envy, that person probably stole their way there, or that person probably did unethical things. What you're doing is you're saying, oh, I'm not that person. I don't deserve that. Instead, let's internalize that. Let's make that our life. And so, yes, when you're marketing, you need to be true and authentic, but at the same time, understand that sometimes you do have to step into a new level of yourself to become that version, that person.
Wow.
Mind fucked, right?
Where did you learn all this stuff, man?
Dude, I think life experienced it, really. I've got a bookshelf over here that I'm looking at, and I've got the probably two of my favorite books of all time. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon
Yeah,
Hill.
me
I read it
too.
when I was 16. And then a book called The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. Now, The
Yeah,
Alchemist is an amazing book that I recommend every single person who wants more in life read. It doesn't just have, it's not a business book. It's a life discovery book. It's how you find who you are and what you want to do. Now, The Alchemist follows the journey of this boy basically through years of his life and different places he goes and different things he tries to do, really trying to find who he is and what he's really all about. Well, the end of the book, the whole point is it ended up what he was searching for was back where he started in his hometown. And I feel like that's true for so many people in our life. Like, but the journey is a necessary part of the end result, because without the journey, without the ups and downs, without the rock bottoms I've had in my life where I've been on the verge of tears, collapsed down, I'm on the floor in my bedroom wondering what the heck am I going to do with myself? Without that, I wouldn't be the person I am now, who can actually motivate, elevate, coach, and work with people. It's the journey. Even though we don't need the journey to get to the result, the journey makes the result all that much more better.
yeah. There was a study that studied happiness, and major universities, they kind of amped up the studies, but they said basically not any goal, not any actual thing won't make you happier, but make experiences will make you happier. They said money will make you happier, but there's a rate in which it does, and then after it surpasses that rate, and it kind of stays the same, which was really interesting and stuck up for me. I really like your point when you said that just feeling that air of being worthy of financial abundance, like going to hotels and not just saying to yourself, I'll never have that thing. Like rich people are jerks and manipulators. Like, I remember the first time I saw Bill Gates, like, what this guy? And we're
Look,
gonna, yeah,
there is some rich people, by the way, that are complete jerks and assholes. And being rich doesn't make you good or bad. But I think the question is like, what, who are you really? Because money, success, it just amplifies who that person is that's deep within you. And so if we can make sure that this is why people that become rich quick, we have trust fund babies, right? Kids who inherit wealth. We have people who they make a ton of money really rapidly. Like those people sometimes have, quite oftentimes have egos. But if you look at the person who grinded, who went through hardship to get there, there's a lot more character behind that individual. I think the question that we have to ask is like, what is the point of life? Like what are we living for? Is it money, success, like all that stuff? I think it's happiness. Like what we really want to do, we should be happy. Like life is a gift. We're here for a very short period of time on the scale of, of the world. And like, I think that we should strive to be happy. But what creates that? You mentioned the study, right? They studied this. They said that anyone who makes $70,000 or less, they're kind of in one bracket. But once you make over $70,000 a year, money doesn't really change happiness. Money doesn't really affect it. What does? Experiences with loved ones, growing, developing, becoming the best version of yourself. And so if, for me, the journey of life or the goal of life, the purpose should be to identify happiness and do more things that make me happy. Now, I'm not going to be happy all the time, but I'm going to work towards being that. And that's one thing I want to do. I want to be more happy more often. And I want to be around happy people, because what's the point of life? Like this is a gift. We're here. Like, let's have fun. Let's enjoy it. Let's don't have to be so serious all the time. But yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that. Sorry to bulldoze you.
No, I love that. I love arguing. Like, I have a like straightened temper. Uh, now I'm gonna dig a little deeper into our say cult question of the podcast. Why people love to be here? It's like we call it metaphorically. Let's just go through it. Let's say one day you wake up. You wake up and you see your mom and you talk, she's talking with your dad. And after that, you see your brother, you see your other siblings and whatever, what have you, your friends, your best friends, some who attended, and some best friends you don't see there for some reason. And there's there everyone that you ever met. It's kind of magical, and you're up, there's a microphone in there, and you try to speak to it, but they don't listen. There's another guy up to that microphone, just all dressed in black, and you realize that it's your funeral, and someone is talking to that microphone about you. So my big question is, I got chills. What would you like them to say about you? What would you like them that what Dylan did do all his life? What would you like to be remembered for?
Dude, I felt that too. I felt that too.
Next.
Dude, I think the relationship dynamic that ultimately is most important is love. Like, love is the foundation of everything. If you think about it, what keeps a dog that we own coming back every single day? It's love. Even if you beat a dog up, he's still going to come back to you with his mouth open, his tongue out, saying, "Give me a hug." Same thing as a parent. And I don't have kids, but all my friends who are parents, they tell me this all the time is there's nothing you can love more than your own child. And think about it, like, even spiritually, people who are Christians, they believe that God was the Father, created the Son, which, if you expand that out and you're not a Christian, the universe, the energy, right, created the humans within it. The Father, the Son, right? The Father is the energy, the Son is the humans that live here. They say that there's unconditional love. And so if I were to die and, my people are talking about me, I'd want, first of all, them to say that we love him, he loved us, and we felt that. That's number one. Number two would be that they knew that I was someone who was striving to constantly better other people and help them. My mission is to be able to create ecosystems and environments that help people. In the future, one of my goals is to be able to buy a property like a ranch and be able to have like boot camps there where people can come, we can have masterminds, we can have sessions, we can have a lake where we go take a boat out and have fun, we can go for a hike.
Wow.
You can do all this stuff and experiential growth. And so number two, I'd want them to talk about how I help people. And number three, I want people to talk about how I was someone who did what I said. I want people to talk about me as someone who when Dylan said something would happen, it got done. When Dylan, he was very genuine and true to himself. And I think that's something that's also, I want people to talk about me. It's a great question, by the way.
Yeah. And every time I do it, there's something interesting that happens in different forms because we value different things. It always comes down to contribution. Always.
No one's saying, oh, he had so much money or this or that. It is about how did that person impact others?
Yeah. I find that fascinating.
I can tell you're a deep thinker, dude. It's very interesting.
I started out a long time ago, so I implement these habits and they help me a lot. I'm reading Freud's now. The guy was a genius, like I can't intercept him. So what do you want to do on the future? one thing you mentioned is the masterminds, and you want to create this environment where you like every moment of your life, kind of, if I got it right. But is there, let's say, what are two things, one in short term and one in long term, that Dylan Vanas wants to achieve?
Yeah, so I'd love to be able to build a company and have it impact the world in a greater way. I want to be able to create, and I'd like this to be my company, is to be able to create an industry revolution, a revolution within industry where we come in, we disrupt the old way of it, and we bring in a new way. Now, whether that's one of my companies I have now or a company I create in the future, I want to be able to revolutionize an industry. So that's kind of on the business front. On the personal front, dude, I want to be optimum. I want Dylan to be a peak performer in all areas of my life. To be transparent, my health is one area that over the last 8-12 months has gone down. You know, I used to be in much better physical shape. I used to have better health. And so I'm setting the intention to course correct and make that better. But really the goal, if I could like paint the picture of future Dylan in the best way possible, would be high achiever in all areas. Someone who is in amazing physical shape, someone who has amazing relationships, someone who has great finances. I live below my means. I try my best to always live below my means. I'd like to be able to continue to do that to build generational wealth. And in the fourth area, by the way, I'm going through my quadrants of life. We've got financial, we've got health, we've got social, right? People, and then we've got spiritual. And so on the spiritual side, the fourth quadrant of my life, I would like to be someone who is constantly always developing and furthering my my connection with myself and my growth and becoming better in every way possible.
That is so cool, man. Like, one of the most interesting things I notice is people I interview here, which tend to be successful and ongoing, but these guys know exactly what they want, man. They're like, have a list, they have something. When ask 90% of the world now, ask them, what do you want? Oh, interesting. I never thought about that. You know, that's an interesting question, Eris.
You know
And
what's crazy
yeah,
is many people don't even think about that. The conversation we're having right now, even the way that what I'm speaking and you're internalizing it, you're taking what I'm saying, you're putting it through your own way of thinking and your own experiences, and you're going, I like this. I don't care for this too much. I'm going to leave this. But what you're doing is you're developing a framework of belief system. You're developing a way of operating. You know, many people in the world, they don't even think like this. But the things I'm saying, it's just a wall. It's like, oh, okay, like he's saying these things. And I think a key to success, a key to developing, yourself in life is taking that stuff, internalizing it, putting it into your brain, and then spitting it out as what you believe and creating this belief system over time. What I'm saying now, in 10 years, I'll probably agree with much of it, but there'll be I think a further development. I don't think I'll disagree with things I'm saying now because I process things deeply and I think about everything I'm saying. I've thought about it. I spent a lot of time thinking about it, but it'll be further developed in 20 years. It'll be a more expanded version of what I'm saying now. And you're right. 99% of people don't ever think about this. Hey, what are your goals? Oh, my goals. I can have goals. I'm allowed to create things. Interesting. How do I do that? Right? What do you want to achieve? If people knew that you can set a goal, break it down into really tangible action steps to make that a reality and work towards it on a daily basis, and it can become true. If they knew, if I told you a framework where anything you could want, literally anything, with the exception of some absurd, crazy things, 99.999% of the things that you want, there's a framework for you to obtain. But the starting point is putting it down on paper and actually understanding that you want this. And then after you decide, yes, I want this, then we can make the plan to make it happen. But most people, they either don't think they're capable of it, don't think they're worthy of it, or it doesn't even cross their mind that they can do more. I can take credit for all the bullshit I've endured over the last 10 years of striving to build a business. But the one thing I could never take credit for is this inherent desire to be, do, and have more. There are people out there, like you just said, who don't want more. They're okay just going through life normal. But there's something I have within me that has pushed me through every single failure I've had, every single obstacle I've had to climb over to keep going forward. And I can't take credit for that.
I think part of it is because of the, the environment and the conditioning and the people we hang around with. And it's like the hardest thing, like the most psychological, like the most involved person ever will reach a point when he will finally be himself. I think that's the hardest thing. and one last question is like, I'm really curious, man. When you work with these business owners, you put them on camera. Are they like, do they have like objections? I don't want to wear this. I don't want to wear that. has, has this ever happened to you?
When I work with business owners, are they kind of turned off by working on camera? Is that kind of the question?
Yeah. Like,
yeah. So some people, look, there's a client of mine that I work closely with, and it's he's a great dude. He actually makes money from creating content. That's his entire career. But he doesn't make content from like him sitting talking to a camera. He goes out, he does videos and photos for other people, and he's wildly successful. Put a camera on him, and especially at first, he like froze up. I remember the first time I was shooting videos, and I would do 5 or 10 different attempts before finally getting something that could be worked with. And I can think back to, okay, well, I was just kind of, early on in my journey. But for someone who's already successful, that they're struggling, it's very interesting and kind of almost funny to see. But it's the reality that we have our different skill sets. Some people don't like being on camera. Some people aren't good on camera. Some people can't talk. Like the way I'm speaking right now, I wasn't like this 5 years ago. This is who I've developed into, and 5 years from now I'll be a lot better as well. Yeah. But yeah, definitely that does happen.
okay, so I think we're moving, like time goes so fast when I'm talking with you. It's like I'm talking with a mentor or something of the sort. But the framework of the podcast is that we cannot go past 40 to 45 minutes, and you have a really tight schedule as well. So please, knowledge and wisdom that I've gotten here is like weeks, which is crazy to me. But we have to finish. We have to wrap up in a real sense. So, what would you think for a final remark or last message that you would like our audience to hear? And
so, 2 things. One, we are responsible for every single thing in our life. The things that are good, the things that are bad. Like we created it. Even the person who's listening to this saying, I didn't do that. I got in a car accident today. That guy hit me. Well, guess what? You chose to leave at that exact same time, drive that exact same route where that person happened to be there at that same time and hit you. We are in control of every single thing in our life, and we're responsible for it. So that's number 1. And the moment that we take responsibility, it moves us to number 2, which is we are creators of our life, and we can create really anything that we desire. But it starts with accountability, knowing that we're responsible for where we're at, not being a victim in any way with anything in life. And then we can create. So number 2, set the intention, write the goal down, start with something simple, something that's attainable. That the reason that most people fail with their goal setting is because they set goals that are ridiculous. They're 17 years old. I want to be a millionaire when I'm 18. Well, they don't have any money in their bank account. That's not going to happen. Let's set some goals that are attainable. Hey, I want to make $100 the next week. That's more realistic. Then you go make it happen. And now your self-belief is a little bit greater. Hey, when I set a goal, I can do it. Next goal is a little bit bigger. Go out, make that happen. Yes, my self-belief is a little bit greater. Do that over and over and over again to the point where you can set goals that seem insane. But your self-belief and your ability that when you write something down on this piece of paper right here, it's getting done. And I think that's the place we want to get to, because most people who do coaching, consulting, speakers, motivational, they say set a goal so far out, shoot for the moon, because even if you missed, you land among the stars. I don't think so, because most people's self-belief doesn't think that they could ever attain that. Start with something simple, build the self-belief, and then get to the point where you can set those crazy goals, because you can do those. You can do anything.
I love how you end with "you can do anything." Now, this is about the listener. I don't believe that there's a bias in your brain that you're like the overconfidence bias. We think that we are better than we actually are. And I don't believe that you're going to get all of this by listening to this once. I'm going to be honest with you. So I would really advise that you listen to this one more time. I listened, man, to Tony Robbins, like Power to Thrive. I had bought that with half my wage 100 times. No kidding. I even memorized his speech. I use it when I want to get out of some weird situation, public speaking. Like, that's why I really encourage you to listen to this, because it shapes your own way of thinking. This is the way I think. I think it. I really, and if you want to do that, if you want to pump up your Instagram with people who are progressive and who really you want to be like in a role model sense, not like envy sense. What's your Instagram? Where can people find you?
Yeah, it's just my name, which, by the way, you said right. I don't think I have a very hard name, but for some reason, some people sometimes struggle to say my last name. It's like, how do you say it? It's like, it's just Dylan Vanas. It's not that hard. So, but yeah, it's just my name, DYLANVANAS. And yeah, if you're hearing this podcast right now, you're listening to this, you're still here at the end of it, come shoot me a message. Say what's up. Hey, I saw you in this podcast. Like, I would love to hear from you. Like, if you're hearing this right now and I'm speaking this, or you're watching this and you're hearing me say this, come message me. It means that I want to hear from you. It means that that's your action step. Like we're just saying, is you're not only going to learn from just listening to this once or listening to it twice, but you're going to learn by taking action on the stuff you're learning. And step one, if we can just get you to do one action step that's going to get you closer towards your goals, just shoot me a message. I'm literally not going to sell you anything. I just am challenging you to step one step beyond your comfort zone. Come shoot me a message, and I would love to hear from you. So if this is speaking to you, this message is speaking to you, I would love to hear from you. And that's it. Thanks again for having me on.
My pleasure is always mine, man. Definitely. So this was I know it was 5th or 6th episode of Kaizen with Eris. This is a podcast where we believe that the road to building a business is also the road of self-development and, awareness. And I'm not saying maintaining one, I'm saying building and growing. And I really emphasize that. And so I really thank you as a listener to having listened all the way through. I will be very excited to see you on the next Sunday, where we cramp up our next episode. And I thank the guest for being here. And I'll see you on the next episode of Kaizen with Eris.